Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is On Palmer.
Welcome in. I am Hunt Palmer, coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown on a Monday. If your Monday is off to a good start, certainly is over here. Got a lot to talk about over the next 2 hours. Certainly LSU basketball against Wake. We watched that on Saturday. I've got a lot of takes on the NFL. It's starting to get good. I mean, not that there are a lot of people think it's good every single week. And it is a great television product, but the standings, the competition, the storylines that are developing here as we get to the middle of December are really good. I want to get to some of that. Takeaways from the Louisiana High School State Championships, including some of LSU's commitments and their performances. We'll get to some of that at the end of hour number one. The Pels have won 7 straight. They have won 12 of 14, a clean sweep of Phoenix over the weekend. Big couple of wins down there in the blender. I want to set the stage for the SEC bowl games. We haven't really talked about what's going to go on in these bowl games. Some far more interesting than others based on kind of the things that have happened and decisions some players and coaches have made. The Heisman Trophy was decided over the weekend. All-American teams out. So we're loaded for the next 2 hours. Appreciate you hanging with us. The opening hour always brought to you by The Shed Barbecue right here in Baton Rouge. That delicious barbecue you've eaten over in Ocean Springs for years. Right here on Burbank. Looking for a late lunch here, swing on by The Shed. They can get you out real quick. If you've got some catering event, maybe a holiday party or game watching party, any of that, The Shed, happy to help you. Give them a little notice. They've got that delicious brisket, ribs, pulled pork. The turkey is phenomenal. Great sides. Great place to watch games. Grab a beverage as well over at The Shed. They bring you the opening hour each and every Monday. All right, let's go to LSU and Wake Forest on Saturday at Holiday Hoops Giving over in the ATL. It didn't get off such a great start, now did it? Whew. Look, if you were a person who thought when this thing went to 20 in the first half, man, they hadn't beaten anybody any good. They played one team that could function at all down in the Caymans and lost. And now they're down 20 to one team that you think they can, in kind of a measuring stick game. And it was ugly. Not to mention the fact you got up 8-3. And then over the next 13 minutes, you got outscored 36-11 to put Wake Forest up by 20 points. But the key to this game, to me, was flipping the momentum the last 4 minutes of the first half. And they did it in a way that I really appreciated, because when you go down 20 points in the first half, it may be your inclination to start chucking up some quick shots from deep, try to get it all back quickly. No. LSU went on a 14-2 run over the last 4 minutes of the first half, and how'd they do it? Derek Fountain layup, Justice Williams layup, Derek Fountain layup, Cam Hayes layup, KJ Williams dunk, Cam Hayes layup. They got every single bucket over that stretch from the rim. That's how you play. That's a team that didn't panic. That's a team that stuck to what it wanted to do. That's a team that created good shots, and that's a team that chipped away at a big lead, and all of a sudden you're only down 8 points at the half. So to me, that was really good, and that may be a product of Matt McMahon coaching. It may be a product of the fact that Derek Fountain's a third-year college player, that Cam Hayes is a third-year college player, that KJ Williams is a fifth-year college player. It just may be because they've got a bunch of old guys, which they do. Juice Williams is old. Adam Miller at this point is old. KJ Williams is old. Derek Fountain is old. And they chipped away in the first half and made it manageable at halftime. And in the second half, all signs kind of point to KJ Williams. And in the second half alone, he goes 9 of 12 from the floor, 5 of 6 from three-point range. He scored 23 points and had 6 rebounds all in the second half. Of course, he finished with 35 points. But it wasn't like LSU caught up right at the half and then had Williams take over the game. No. In fact, the opposite. Wake got up 11 with 18 minutes and 24 seconds to go. But at that point, LSU went on an 11-0 run And while I give you a bunch of kudos for chipping away late, that 11-0 run that you went on to tie the score did involve 3 threes. 2 from KJ and 1 from Cam Hayes. I want to talk about the closing minutes of the game because we learned some things. This is an LSU team that, against some lesser teams here in Baton Rouge, has found itself behind late. And they've made some quote-unquote winning plays. Now, you make winning plays against Wofford, it's not that noteworthy. Nobody's going to really care. But we're watching, and they did. And in this game, it was not perfect. But they did do a couple of things, and we learned something about Matt McMahon. So with 2 minutes and 36 seconds left in the game, LSU is up 3. You've got a chance to push this thing to 2 possessions with 2 minutes to go. Huge possession. LSU gets into a dribble weave situation at the top of the key, or your handoffs, and they create a brilliant angle. KJ Williams perfectly seals the defender. They drop him a pass right there for a layup, and he drops the ball out of bounds. You can't draw up a play any better. The players executed the play perfectly, and the guy who's having the best game on the floor can't hold on to it. Goes out of bounds. Really disappointing, but I thought encouraging in that they got the shot they wanted. They just didn't execute. So Wake ties it with 1:13 to go. Couldn't stop Appleby. Just a nightmare. But LSU gets the ball with a chance to go up, and they get another layup. KJ got a layup, and he missed it right at the rim. Brutal. So again, I can't go as far as to say, man, they're just making winning plays at the end of the game. Winning play. Well, you dropped the ball out of bounds and missed a layup. I mean, I don't know how winning those plays are. But you played defense. Wake shot a 3 and missed it. You get the rebound on the first shot, which is what you need. And you've got a chance to go down in a tie game and win it. And so I'm watching it with a buddy, and I said, I'm telling you right now, Will Wade would play this out. He would leave his guys on the floor. He would call an offensive play. He would not allow Wake Forest to call a timeout and set their defense. He would just go. But I know that because he was here for 5 years. I don't know what Matt McMahon's going to do. Turns out he calls timeout. Now, they end up, as you probably know by now, getting a dribble drive layup by Juice Hill for a bucket. I've got a hard time saying that was a brilliant tactical play by the coaching staff. I think what you had there is a senior point guard who had the ball in his hands, made a good move off the bounce, and then atrocious defense by Wake to have nobody there to protect the rim in a tie basketball game. I mean, that's beyond awful defensively. But Matt McMahon called timeout, got the guys he wanted on the floor, got the ball in his point guard's hand. His point guard made a play. Certainly, I can see the positives in that, and Wake was unable to get a shot at the end to do anything with it. So I think that's a win that should inspire a little confidence. It certainly helps when you've got a new group of guys to understand that now 3 games in a row they've faced what looks like a really tough deficit, whether it's 20 points in the first half, 11 points early in the second half, whether that's a 5-point deficit at home against a lesser team a week and a half ago. And they're doing enough to win the games, and that's a very good thing. It's still not a work of art. They've got their issues. I don't think Wake is all that good, but it should inspire a little confidence because let me tell you, they're going to face some deficits in SEC play. You've seen some of these teams. SEC's got some guys. Tennessee is real good. Arkansas, even without Brazil, is real good. Kentucky is real good. Auburn's got players. Mississippi State's playing ridiculous rebound defense. Missouri is on fire offensively. Like there are some good teams in this league. You're going to face deficits. And they've been able to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and, to use that cliche, find a way to win. And this is against a better team. Now, letting Appleby go 11 for 13 from the floor, that's needs a little work. That's got to be the guy your entire scouting report was aimed after. And he scored 26 on you. But by the same token, your best scorer, Adam Miller, goes out there and goes 1 for 10 from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3 in 37 minutes. That is not going to happen very often. So my first inclination was to look at this game and say, man, it took a total outlier of a performance by KJ Williams to beat Wake Forest by 2 points. He's not going to go out there probably the rest of the season and go 7 of 9 from 3. He's probably not going to score 35 in 37 minutes very often. So my first inclination when it goes final is nice job overcoming the deficit, nice win, but it took a real outlier to beat a mediocre ACC team. And then I think back on it and go, yeah, but Miller played horrendously too, and I don't think Tyree Appleby's going to go 11 of 13 all that often. So I think it's somewhere in the middle of all that. Oh, that's not usually going to happen, but that's not usually going to happen, but that's not usually going to happen. It all kind of equals out. LSU's got 2 guys they can go to that they can trust that have the ability to go get you 25 points in a given night. Adam Miller can do it in multiple ways, and KJ Williams is proving now that he can do it as well. Now, those are going to be your main 2 options, and you're going to have some help. And Cam Hayes gave you some help. He was 5 of 10 from the floor. He made a couple of threes. He scored 13 points and dished out 6 assists. His playing time has drastically gone up since early November, and that's a good thing. Derek Fountain gave you some help. He was 4 of 5 from the floor. He pulled down 5 rebounds. He got to the free throw line and made 3 of 6 there. That's good. You're not getting a ton of production from Reed, who has been a starter for you. He gave you 9 minutes and scored a point. Imwani's time has dwindled. He only played 10 minutes in this game, 0 of 4 from the floor, missed his 2 threes. But you're finding some other guys to come in there and give you some time. Cam Hayes has been a bit of a revelation. Derek Fountain has come on. So it's all going to center around Miller and Williams. And, when I tell you that those 2 combined for 38 points, you'll usually live with that. You just don't figure it's going to be 35-3. So, look, it is what it is. They've got a couple of individuals that can help, and they're what I see as a mediocre to bottom half of the SEC team in my eye right now. I appreciate Les Johns from the Wake Forest beat for coming on on Friday, and saying, yeah, he thinks that they could be a tournament team. They're not. I watched them on tape. I watched them in this game. They're not. Nice win at Wisconsin. They're not going to the tournament. They're a mediocre ACC team. And LSU right now looks like a mediocre SEC team. But, hey, this was your one chance on TV in an NBA arena against an ACC team in the non-conference to get anybody's juices flowing. And they went out there and they overcame a 20-point lead and won the game. So is it going to be perfect ever for this team? No. Is that something that should be celebrated? Yeah, sure. And so Adam Miller has petitioned everybody to come on out and watch the game tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I don't know that you're going to get a huge crowd for the game tomorrow, but I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I hadn't watched them play in person in a few weeks, and actually since the opener. So I'm excited to get out there tomorrow and watch them. Hopefully they can jump over a couple landmines here until Christmas and then get into SEC play with a good record, and then you kind of put your shoes on and see what you can do over an 18-game grind. But they beat Wake Forest 72-70 over in Atlanta in the Holiday Hoops, overcoming a 20-point deficit. Great job for Matt McMahon and his squad. That's a very, very good thing. So we're off and running here on a Monday. The Shed brings you our opening hour each and every Monday. When we come back, I want to talk about the NFL. I've got some, I don't want to call them like hot takes. That's not the point of the show or the segment, but I've got some statements I'll make about the league and kind of get your thoughts in the Bayou Ford chat on those. That's next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Every business is different, but B1 Bank knows that every business owner has similar needs. From streamlining accounts receivables to maintaining access to working capital, A trusted bank is your best asset for staying on top of day-to-day finances and planning for future business growth. At B1 Bank, I know I have access to commercial banking experts who care about the needs of my business and can guide me to accomplish my goals. B1 Bank knows that managing your business isn't simple, but they can help you make it uncomplicated.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at revelryteam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
Gather and head to the varsity to catch Saints, LSU, and World Cup games on the big screen for free. Food is available from the Chimes, and Thurston 10 is in effect all day. $10 bottomless draft beer. Catch the games at the varsity. Visit varsitytheater.com for event details.
Jimmy Ott's Game Time, weeknights from 6 to 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Never step foot in a car dealership again. Shop BayouFord.com.
Me, Jimmy Ott and Charles Handegriff. Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. We're at Spoken Hub Restaurant on Government Street in Mid-City. We recap the weekend pro and college football. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Opening hour brought to you by The Shed Barbecue over on Burbank. Let's talk a little NFL. Just some general thoughts I have is we just about have another week in the rearview mirror, and we are getting close to playoff time here. Games are high stakes at this point. The Eagles games are not that high stakes. They are just crushing people. They are an absolute wagon. I'm not very good at fantasy football. I lose most weeks. It's not really what we're here to talk about, but I can tell you that I'm aware of how dominant the Eagles are because Jalen Hurts is my fantasy quarterback and Miles Sanders is one of my running backs and A.J. Brown is one of my wide receivers. And I get a notification on my phone every 8 minutes on Sunday that someone else just scored a touchdown. It is frightening how quickly they move up and down the field. And I would have thought any GM that would draft Jalen Hurts should be fired on the spot after what I watched in college. Now, I'm a little bit biased. I mean, of course, his freshman year, you're not expecting too much, but he comes in, and they play that game where they didn't score in the first 3 quarters in Baton Rouge. And he got his job taken by Tua, and we don't have to go through his entire football career, but he just never seemed to me like a guy that was going to sit in the pocket and go beat you. And, we've talked in the NFL, you've looked over the Super Bowl champions, they sit in the pocket and beat you. There have been MVPs that have done things a little bit differently. Certainly teams that have won a lot of games that have done things differently. But when you win the Super Bowl, your quarterback, more often than not, sits in the pocket. And Jalen Hurts runs all over the place. He runs for a touchdown almost every week. They run that read option stuff. But he is winning from the pocket. He's got good wide receiving core. They've drafted really well and then made the move to go get Brown. But they're awesome. And I was hesitant entering the year to really call anyone in the NFC really, really good. That was kind of the take I had in July and certainly in August. Like, the NFC, maybe the Saints could do something because I don't see anybody that's that good in this league. The Eagles are awesome. And we'll be hearing from them deep into January, I think. But to that same point, the Bucs stink. They're not good. I don't get everything right. In fact, probably don't get half of them right. I got this right. That offensive line's not good. Brady cannot move. They cannot run the football at all. The defense is getting a little bit older. It's still pretty good, but it's getting older. And we all watched last week when they scored 14 points in the last 4 minutes. Even so, winning a game they had no business winning last week, they're 6-7, and the Niners with Brock Purdy playing quarterback embarrassed them. There aren't that many 35-7s in the NFL week to week. 35-7 with a third-string quarterback that has never started a game. The Bucs may win the division, they may not. Anyone who tries to sell you, if they get into the playoffs, well, you got to beware for Brady. No, you don't. You don't. He may have one in him. They may have one win in him. They're not beating Philly. They're not even beating Dallas, I don't think. They're not a factor at all in this thing. And the 49ers showed that yesterday. More takes on the NFL. Brock Purdy is not going to win the Super Bowl. It looked good yesterday. He threw for 2 touchdowns in the first half, ran for another one. Yeah, Nick Foles took over the reins, and they got it done and won the Super Bowl. A lot of Brock Purdy talk going on today. I'm not ready to listen to that quite yet. It was his first time out there. No one's seen him. That's a great roster. John Lynch does such a good job. And we'll see what the deal is with Debo. And McCaffrey's making plays. It's a great roster. And with Garoppolo, I would consider them a real threat. I'm not ready to go there with Purdy. So I'm pumping the brakes on the Purdy train here that everybody was so gleefully riding yesterday and into this morning. In Dallas, that was ugly yesterday. Taylor Sharp back there nodding his head. I mean, you went 98 yards and got it done, but I feel like that's the reason why because the Cowboys are a lightning rod. Nobody cares about this if it's the Chargers, or nobody cares about this if it's the Panthers. Nobody cares about it if it's the Vikings or the Lions. The Cowboys attract more attention than most teams. That was hard to look at yesterday. I could make the argument Houston's not even trying. And you look up, and it's very doubtful whether or not the Cowboys are going to win that game on their home field. So the question begs itself is, can we trust these guys when the calendar turns? And you certainly didn't answer any questions yesterday. Probably puts a lot of smiles on a lot of people's faces down here in South Louisiana. Not exactly the biggest Cowboys fans, but that was ugly. So that's my stuff on the NFC. One more, actually, on the NFC. Could I make the case? I'd have to work at it, but I think I might be able to make the case that the Packers organization is in worse shape than anyone else in that division. All of a sudden, the Lions are winning football games. Goff's playing well. The Vikings, yesterday, aside, have been good all year. And this is where I have to work a little bit harder to sell you. Maybe Justin Fields is good. They lose a lot of games. But the Chicago people tend to like him. The second Rodgers says, I'm out of here, what is left? Jordan Love? Couple good corners? This is bordering on a hot take, which is not the point. But, it's Rodgers who's still pretty good, and that team stinks. The Vikings are on solid footing. The Lions have played well for a month and a half. And the Bears think they have a quarterback. Whether or not they do, they usually don't. But they think they do. It's just something to think about. Team that does have a quarterback, Cincinnati, they just keep chugging along. Since that 0-2 start, they've been awesome. They're 8-2. They played yesterday without T. Higgins, without Tyler Boyd, and the Browns are a bad matchup for them. There's a reason. I watched every play of that game yesterday. There's a reason the Browns keep beating the Bengals and that Joe Burrow had never beaten them. Because you get Garrett and Clowney out there on those tackles. We love Lael here. Is he a top 10 tackle in the league? Probably not. Top 10 right tackle? Probably not. Jonah Williams has his serious issues. And those guys were all over the field yesterday. They were in Joe's face, making it tough to run at times. And Joe's working with Trent Taylor of Angels Finest out there. Had a guy get his first touchdown catch on a flea flicker. But the Bengals keep winning. They stoned Nick Chubb from start to finish. Deshaun still not playing great through 2 weeks. That may take some time. But the Bengals keep winning, and that's a really good thing as they look around the rest of the AFC. The Dolphins do not keep winning. They have lost 2 in a row. And their offense is having trouble getting out of neutral. 17 points in back-to-back weeks. Tua getting hit. That's a game they really needed to go win yesterday against San Diego, and they didn't get it done. That's a division where you've got to be, a conference where you got to be a real team to go win that conference. You're going to get through KC and Cincinnati and Buffalo and maybe if Lamar's healthy, Baltimore. That's not a cakewalk. That's the opposite. It's going to be real tough to do anything with that conference. And right now the Dolphins have got to get it back into gear. I still think they're good. I think they got ridiculous threats at wide receiver and a defense that's been pretty good the last couple of years, specifically rushing the passer. But right now, they're leaking a little bit of oil. Plenty of time to get it back, but the last 2 weeks have not been good. A lot of times, we have an instance in a press conference, and everybody immediately jumps on the press. And I sit back and go, wait a second. They do have a job to do. There are sometimes you have to ask questions. Sometimes you ask a question that sounds really stupid, but you're asking the question so that the source or the player or the coach says it, and you can write the quote instead of you as the writer writing it. It's more powerful when it comes from someone in a position of power than it is if someone just writes it in the quote-unquote newspaper or on the site. So you ask something that you know the answer to, so they say it, and maybe they give you more on top of it. So I more often than not come to the defense of the sports writer. Not yesterday. Yesterday's sports writer did not ask a question. He looked at Josh Allen and said, this offense isn't good enough to win a Super Bowl. That's not a question. And how do you know? They won yesterday. And Josh Allen, to his credit, just looked at the guy who said this offense isn't good enough to win a Super Bowl and said, okay. That's the proper way to handle a stupid comment, a stupid remark. And I don't know who the writer is or whether or not he apologized for it or how he feels about that. That is inappropriate and stupid, quite frankly. So I'll come to the defense of or jump on the sports writer when it needs to happen. It needed to happen yesterday. That was really stupid in the NFL. So that's my my kind of look around what we saw. I'm actually really excited about the next 4 weeks here and then getting into the playoffs. My juices flow a little bit with the Bengals. It's just a newfound thing for 3 years because of Joe that I never thought would have ever happened. but I watched every play of them. Shout out to the crew over there at Channel 9 that puts the Bengals on every week. I think that's their decision, because if you look at the coverage map and you see the games that CBS is playing at a certain time, and there's a little red circle, a yellow circle yesterday around Baton Rouge. We were the only place outside of Ohio that got Bengals-Browns. So I'll take it, and I watched every game. My juices are flowing a little bit with them as they continue to play really well. Jamar came back, made a great play yesterday. So I had fun watching the NFL, and it looks like we've got some really interesting stuff that's on the horizon here. Sadly, Saints won't be a part of it, but it looks really entertaining here over the next few weeks. So come back, keep things rolling. Opening hour brought to you by The Shed on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer.
One Bath and Closets. Check out the website, onebathandclosets.com. How much better could your living situation be with a brand new remodeled bathroom? Do the whole deal. David Duvall and his crew been in business for 30 years doing it. Maybe they redo the entire thing, rip up all the floors, handle all the plumbing, deal with the shower, and maybe build you a new space out. Or maybe you just have a little tighter budget or a little tighter time frame, and you want to just go with the tub to shower conversion. How much better would your bathroom look if you took that tub out and put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower? One Bath and Closets can do it. Onebathandclosets.com is the website that can also help you out with your closet needs. And right now, 30% off your closet renovation remodel. If you say 104.5 ESPN sent you over there. Tell David Duvall and his crew we sent you 30% off. I can promise you this. They won't be coming back a month later because they cut some corners, try to figure out how they fix it. Nope. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. One Bath and Closets. The website, once again, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super.
Up on Tuesday's OTB. Preview Pels Jazz, because the number one team in the West. Keep it going. Plus, start to look forward to Citrus Bowl, as well as Saints Falcons, part 2. Brand new OTB mailbag, and Nick Underhill stops by. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Opening hour brought to you by the Shed Barbecue. By now you know, if you've been paying attention at all over the last 24 hours, that Mississippi State head football coach Mike Leach was airlifted to the hospital in Jackson yesterday and has been in critical condition ever since. You've seen that the words dire and stuff have been used, and it's the internet, so you know what the internet will do. It's disappointing how many people are comfortable firing their story or what they heard or all that kind of stuff all over the internet, but it is what it is. It's a very, very serious situation, and it's very difficult to find anyone's picture of this story and paint it as positive. It's and I don't mean that as, I just mean there aren't any reports that look very good at this point, which is really, really sad for sure. Steve Robertson, who covers Mississippi State and has had a very close relationship with Mike Leach over the few years, just posted an update on his site that is it paints a very, very grim picture for Coach Leach, and we certainly wish the best and send all of our thoughts, prayers to Mike Leach and his family and the Mississippi State football family. It's just an awful situation, but I one of the things that comes from situations like this is people start to share stories and memories and express their feelings on in this case Mike Leach. And I don't know Mike Leach. I don't know anyone who's ever played for Mike Leach. I've never met Mike Leach. But you understand, having followed the sport like we do and like most of our listeners do, what kind of personality he is. And unique is a word that is flagrantly overused in this medium, even in print at times. Unique means one. You can't be more unique or pretty unique or kind of unique, or it's either unique or it's not. Truly, Mike Leach, unique in the sport of college football. From the way that he coaches to the sound bites. Most college football coaches are former players who moved into coaching. He's just a guy who found a love of coaching that probably, when he was in high school, never dreamed he would be a football coach, because he's interested in so many things. And because he's interested in so many things and has so many thoughts about things that aren't, the counter tray and, quarters defense or zone pressure, you get those in press conferences. And so I wanted to pull just a little bit of sound from Mike Leach over the years and just some interesting things he went through. This is from his time at Mississippi State. Huge win for the Bulldogs. They get in the locker room, as is customary these days, and the players want the coach to dance. So Mike Leach did. I don't know that it was the best dancing performance in the history of entertainment, but he gave his thoughts on it.
They tried to get me to do it, and I was afraid they might dump something over my head if I didn't, like water and worst of all Gatorade. So I figured, I better comply, which I did. So I started out just trying to walk in place, and that was clearly not satisfactory with it. And then that wasn't satisfactory with my captors. I tried to bring the knees a little higher, and then I got the hands up to try to finish the deal off, and I do think I outdid Elaine on Seinfeld, but as soon as I thought I was safe to stop, I did, and let them have a great time.
He outdid Elaine on Seinfeld. See, a Seinfeld reference is always going to get me, but that walking in place. His first instinct on a dance move was to walk in place, but he determined that was unsatisfactory, so he moved on. That was a classic. Now, this was on the field after a big win, and the sideline announcer asked him about Halloween candy.
We talked about on the broadcast how you hate candy corn. What's your favorite Halloween
candy corn? I mean, I completely hate candy corn. When I was a kid, gummy bears, let's see. Gummy bears for sure.
Sour or regular?
The Haribo. It's got to be the Haribo ones. And then the other thing I like is when they used to have the sprees in a box. Outstanding. You have to go to the dollar store to find it, but I do. And then the latest, there's still candy innovation, although a while back I found that Europe had better candy than we did overall because they have gummy everything. And then, they have those Nerds clusters, which is new.
The gummy.
Yeah, which is good. The Nerds clusters is good. And then if you go chocolate, probably Almond Joy.
Love it. Hopefully you'll get some of that next week.
Yeah, we'll see.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Hopefully you get some of that next week. Oh, we'll see. You never know. I got to disagree with Coach Leach on one point. Sprees, I don't have any use for sprees. There's a lot better stuff than sprees. If that's what Coach wants, that's what Coach gets. And the last one, I can appreciate this big time. I have gotten married twice. I've gone through this process twice, and a reporter asked Mike Leach if he had any advice for him on his upcoming wedding. He had just gotten engaged.
The women lose their mind. Your fiance's going to lose her mind. Your mother-in-law is going to lose her mind. Your mom is going to lose her mind. Several of your sisters and female relatives are going to lose their mind, and they're going to barrage you with constant questions. What should we wear? And then, which of course my answer was, I don't care. And then, what color should the invitations be? I don't care. What should we have for dessert? I don't care. Should we seat this way or that way? I don't care. But see, I don't care is not satisfactory at all. And you're going to get caught in a catch-22, and I'm certain that you already have. And that catch-22 is, well, I want you to be a part of this too. So what color invitations? All right, the blue ones. Well, I kind of like the tan ones. Okay, the tan ones then. Oh, you're just saying that because you want this over with. You're not even thinking about it, which is of course true.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys listening that have been in that situation. I think there are a lot of women listening that understand where he's coming from there too. And that's just, but no other coach that I can recall covering here would ever be asked a question about Halloween candy or about planning for a wedding. Les had his interesting quirks and interesting answers, but they usually came out of nowhere. These were intentionally brought to Mike Leach because he would answer. And I appreciate that. In an era where press conferences are so sterile and so boring and so cliche-riddled and so complimentary of the other team, and it was just refreshing to hear a guy that's just willing to talk. And you'll read a lot of stories about Mike Leach, here where that have a lot of different stories just like that. And I think it's interesting that Mike Leach was able to have 3 different communities kind of throw their arms around him. One in West Texas, one in Washington State, and one in the deep, deep south of Starkville, Mississippi. I mean, how different can the cultures and environments around those 3 places be? And for him to fit in and really to even, from a football perspective, to win at the level he did at places where it's very difficult to win. And I was curious if Tennessee was going to hire him back when that job came open one of the times before they got Heupel, to see if he could win at a higher level with a bigger budget and a greater commitment to winning. But he did a pretty dadgum good job at Texas Tech and at Washington State and at Mississippi State. And so it's just a tough situation. No breaking news at this point. But again, it just doesn't sound good, and that's just a real bummer for one of the truly great personalities in college football history and a very, very accomplished coach in this era of college football. Mike Leach, we will update you if you hear anything, but to this point, still in critical condition over in Jackson, Mississippi, his family by his side. So again, if anything happens, we will certainly let you know. We'll come back and close out our number 1 next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One of the things I love about betting on the NFL is that I'm always finding new players or game props that I like. And what's cool about the FanDuel Sportsbook, you can combine those props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. That's perfect for tonight's Monday Night Football game. You can bet on Ramondre Stevenson over the rushing yards, Kyler Murray over rushing or passing yards. It's so easy to use. You can live bet during the game right there at the tips of your fingers. And the best part, when you win, you get paid fast. There's no feeling quite like nailing a same-game parlay. So lock in your bet today on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're new to FanDuel, sign up today with the promo code 1045ESPN. For your no-sweat first bet, up to $1,000. That's promo code 1045ESPN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued non-withdrawable free bet. Expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
My dad just really enjoyed his life, and he enjoyed smoking cigars and thought he was invincible. My stepdad quit smoking, and he really felt like he was in the clear. Sorry. I wish they would have been screened annually. It's not just you affect, it's your entire family.
For more information on Ochsner's free smoking cessation program and to see if you qualify for early lung screenings, visit ochsner.org/quit.
Nearly half of children in foster care drop out of school. But you can rewrite that story. Children and youth with CASA and GAL volunteers are more likely to succeed in school. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% with 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Tigers on the practice field for the first time, getting ready for Purdue, and the Saints are back at it as they turn the page to the Falcons. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number 1 here, brought to you by The Shed Barbecue. Looking for a late lunch, great spot to grab some dinner, watch a game. The Shed Barbecue right there on Burbank. Same delicious barbecue you've seen in Ocean Springs over the years. You've tasted in Ocean Springs over the years. Got your ribs, got your brisket. The turkey is phenomenal. Got your pulled pork. Can throw that on a sandwich as well. Catering trays for parties. Shed can help you out with that. Check them out on Burbank. Awesome indoor seating area with a full bar there. Great outdoor seating area with all these picnic tables. Got beach volleyball back there as well. Shed, always a good time. We appreciate them for bringing you the opening hour here on a Monday. A couple things from the Louisiana State Championship games over the weekend before we get to a little bit of breaking news as far as LSU's current football team goes. Heroic performance in the title game for Destrehan from Jai Eugene Jr. Yeah, that one. Jai was in school when I was in school. And his son now breaking off scrambling touchdowns with the quarterback for Destrehan to win a state championship. He'll be headed to Tulane to play his college football. So you see that name pop up and you're like, whoa. I thought the Manny versus Union Parish game was excellent. Trey Holly played solid football. The running back for Union Parish had 119 yards on only 11 carries, busted a huge touchdown run in the game when he ripped it up the middle. Saw LSU quarterbacks coach Joe Sloan in the end zone, and they both pointed at each other after he ran it in for a touchdown. That was kind of a cool moment. And Tackett Curtis, the USC commitment from over there in Manny, was really good on both sides of the ball in the game. Had an 85-yard run, which is pretty impressive for a guy who is, I think, going to be a linebacker potentially in college. So some really impressive performances in the Louisiana State Championship games. I talk about this back on Friday. Really, really cool environment if you ever get the chance to go see a state championship game. Certainly for the teams that get there year after year after year, your St. Thomas More, John Curtis, West Monroe, Evangel, Calvary, St. Charles, even like Parkview and U-High here. That's great, and it's amazing that they do that, but I think the most fun and the most interesting is when teams that are from a small town that show up in the dome and paint the entire side of the dome with their school colors. It's like a last person to leave town, turn the lights off type deal. That's always really, really cool inside the dome. So hopefully all the kids, even win or lose, enjoyed their time there in the Superdome. Some breaking news here for LSU's football team that deals with the Citrus Bowl. Jeray Jenkins, LSU senior wide receiver, has decided he is going to forego his time at the Citrus Bowl and get ready for the NFL draft. Certainly as a fan, disappointing to not have Jeray out there, but you cannot fault him at all here. Jeray Jenkins has given more than half a decade to LSU football and has been just an unbelievably productive player in his time. I struggle to come up with a more underrated LSU player than Jeray Jenkins. More touchdown catches than Odell Beckham at LSU. 14 in his career, went for 1,370 yards. And you're talking about a guy who was in the shadow. He started in 2019. Started in the shadow of Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, Kayshon Boutte, Malik Neighbors, Jack Besh even. And to come in and produce the way he did while he was never going to be the top name on the marquee was impressive. And we used to laugh on this show because I'd start breaking down matchups for the next game, and I'd be like, LSU's got to get the ball to Kayshon. Like they got to get Malik involved. They got to let Brian Thomas go over the top. You got to get Besh. And all of a sudden, I'm looking, I forgot Jeray. It's just that's the way I feel like it's always been in terms of Jeray Jenkins in this football program. He averaged over 15 yards a catch. This is going to be just under the production level of last year when in 11 games he had 502 yards and 6 touchdowns. This year he equaled those 6 touchdowns and went for 404 yards. But just a consummate leader and a guy who, after the last 2 years of 2020 and 2021, they were so poor from an LSU performance perspective, lost so many games. You've got a coaching change. You can go take your shot and try to be an NFL football player. And for him to come back and play for a team that kind of righted the ship a little bit, I don't want to say, the rebirth of LSU football or the re-arrival on the scene. No, but this team took what was a team that was 500 for 2 years and won the West and got things back on track. And Jeray Jenkins was certainly a huge part of that. My favorite Jure moment, of course, as you all very well know, is going to be the touchdown catch right there at the end of the A&M game last year. That was a thing of beauty, sent me running down the press box doing fist pumps. Very professional behavior on my part. Credit to me for that. But that's my favorite Jure Jenkins memory for sure. So for those just jumping in your car, just tuning in, Jure Jenkins going to forego the Citrus Bowl and get ready for the NFL draft. He could use another year as he would have a COVID year left, but he's going to head on to the NFL, and that opportunity well earned by Jure Jenkins from Gina, Louisiana. That'll do it for the first hour here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Open things up talking LSU and Wake. Then I had some NFL takes on the weekend that was. We talked a little bit of Mike Leach at 1:30, and then closing things up here with Jure Jenkins. Locked and loaded here in the second hour. I want to set the stage for some SEC bowl games. I want to talk about Cam Jordan being fined for faking an injury, and much, much more. So come back with us after Sports Center. You're listening to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz Winter Event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. We have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. and we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your Monday is off to a good start. Loading up for another work week. I'm going to set the stage for some SEC bowl games coming up in 15 minutes. I want to talk about Cam Jordan, the Saints being fined for faking an injury. That was a pretty big story over the weekend. Caleb Williams with the Heisman Trophy, got some AP All-Americans as well, and we always finish things up with take it or leave it. But I got a bit of a show statement to make here. We're going to start talking about the Pels. I have not done that very much in my time on air because I feel like talking about a team that's in 10th place in the West is not going to move the needle very much in Baton Rouge. And while I still don't think that the Pels have this city, throwing its arms around them. I think that there's a real chance for growth here, and I think this team's really good. So the Pels have gotten, over the course of the season, they've been playing for over a month. We've probably spent 5 segments on them. May not be a daily thing, but a couple times a week, some guests, yeah. Because they're interesting, they're fun, they're good, and they're relevant. So no, I'm not going to pretend like I was locked in to every minute of the Pels games as of 3 weeks ago. I was not. I'm aware. I follow people on Twitter. I got Mario and T-Bob chopping it up on the morning show. I'm aware of the Pelicans, but I'm certainly not spending a ton of time trying to get into things. So I'm going to spend more time on LSU basketball. We're going to talk recruiting. NFL's in crunch time. Bowls are coming up. Baseball's going to be fired up here middle of January. But we're going to talk about the Pels because I think it's fun. And I think that some of you will turn it off. I think that some of you will be excited because you want to hear more about the Pels. And I think some of you haven't really thought much about the Pels, but let's give them a shot. And I think that's reasonable. This is a big weekend for the city, for the team, for the franchise. It was a big weekend. Not more important than Portland last year. Not more important than getting in the playoffs. Not the most important regular season game they've ever played at home. It's none of those things. But it was important. You've got Phoenix coming in here. You're right there with them at the top of the standings. How do you measure up? I know B.I.'s not playing. I know Herb's not playing, but what does it look like at home? It looked good. It looked really good. I was at a birthday party for my wife's good friend on Friday down in New Orleans. And they had dinner, it was like a kind of a buffet style dinner for everybody to kind of graze. They had a bar open in the back. It was at a house, and it resembled a cocktail party a lot of ways. And that cocktail party broke up halfway through because everybody was standing around the TV watching the Pels. I can't say that's happened at many parties I've been to in New Orleans over the last decade, and there have been a lot of them. For those in Baton Rouge that aren't necessarily aware, it's taken hold in New Orleans. 3 of the guys at this party were in Pelicans shirts. I don't see that all the time, especially not in December. NFL week, 13 was it, 14? Not a lot of Pels love all the time on a Friday night at that time, and it was great. I watched the entire fourth quarter, and I thought the Pels looked awesome. And then you get to the fight at the end of the game, which, I mean, grow up, sons. Sorry. He didn't trash talk anybody. He didn't stand over anybody. They didn't intimidate anybody. You tried to score. You didn't. The Pels got the rebound, and with no time on the clock, Zion dunked it. I've seen NBA players leave the bench before the game's over. What the hell do you care if there's 1 second left and he's throwing down a 360? Just get over it. But you figured that was going to ratchet up the intensity for Sunday's game. Just seeing the teams kind of talking some trash at the end of the game on Friday. And obviously Booker not playing takes a little bit of that away. And B.I. not being out there takes a little bit out of the way. But Zion goes for 35. I thought that the Chris Paul's sixth foul, I love the functionality of the Pels bench there to get the review on it. And after the game, Coach Green said, yeah, we've got guys right behind us, and they're going to take a look at it and give us a definitive yes or no, and they did. And I'm not suggesting that's some sort of revolutionary thing in sports or the NBA, but I'm just glad the Pels have that process in place, and that's a huge point of the game. You're coming down the stretch of a game, and the guy who's handling the basketball for the other team, you do the ref's job and get him out of the game. And I thought that was awesome. And then I liked Zion's quote after the game. He said, you know, a lot of people don't care where they are or think it's not a big deal in December to be in first place. We do think it's a big deal to be in first place in December. We understand that. We want that lead to grow. I always kind of agreed with Paul Maneri on this point, and I think Nick Saban would vehemently disagree. I think Brian Kelly would probably vehemently disagree. LSU's got the word Omaha written in their team room at the box. And they're open about expectations when you play at LSU. And so I think it's okay to say some games are big. Some moments during a season are big. I think to totally minimize every opponent, every opportunity, every situation is so, it's just disingenuous to even think that way. No, the Pels can't win the West in December. They haven't eliminated the Suns or proven they're better than the Suns. They won a couple of games, and they're in first. And it's okay to acknowledge that. I think Zion was pretty aware on Friday and Sunday what the Western Division standings were. It didn't look like it affected him too much. I think he handled that okay. So I'm okay with athletes and coaches saying, hey, we got to go out there and play really well. This is a big game for us. And I liked that. And what we know about this Pelicans team is the talent level. We know what these guys were in college. We know where they were drafted. We know what they've done in this point early in their career. We watched the highlights. Like, you know how talented they are. You don't know how they're going to handle the spotlight. You don't know how they're going to respond in the playoffs. That goes from Zion to an extent B.I., even though he was awesome last year, to Willie Green. He's new at this too. And so I didn't learn that Zion can do a 360 windmill dunk on Friday. I had that one pretty much pegged. We'll see how they respond to these huge moments. And for some teams, it takes time. For almost all teams, it takes time. Like that Durant Thunder team got to the final. It's like, whoa, that's quick. And then we saw what happened in the finals to him. It's way too early for that kind of talk. But if you're going to take something from the weekend, one, the Pels showed their depth once again. Different guy as the ancillary piece every night. Sometimes it's Alvarado being the centerpiece. But it's a different guy every night. That depth is there. How do they handle the moment? And I thought Zion's quote, because like Zion went MIA for like a year. You didn't know where he was, how much he weighed, what he was doing when he was coming back. He certainly wasn't talking very much. Now he's in front of a mic all the time. I'm learning personally kind of how he handles moments. And I liked that. I liked the sentiment that, hey, we know we're in first. It's a big deal. We want to build one. I mean, Mario, you're listening to this. Your guys locked in a couple times a week. I mean, what do you think about the mindset of the team?
It's significant, man. I mean, it's the first time since 2008 it's been this late in the season, and they've been in first place in the standings. And Willie Green, after the game, said, we technically haven't won anything yet, but we're playing really well right now. The team likes how they're playing, and they like having that mentality that they're amongst the best in the Western Conference. Right now, the standings say that they are there. Let's see if they can stay there and they can maintain it going into the playoffs.
And I get pro and college are different. You got kids and grown men, but this is not the current Lakers where they got a bunch of 30-somethings. Like, these are younger players. Nick Saban with his college team would say, well, it's not about first place. It's about handling what you can do each and every day to become the best player you can be and preparing to perform and all that kind of stuff. And I think Brian Kelly would probably say the same thing. Paul Maneri would just straight up get in front of the mic and go, yeah, I think we're playing really, really well. I think if we continue to play really well, we can achieve our goals, which are to win the West, to win the SEC, to go to Hoover and play well, and then to advance every weekend and win a championship every weekend is what he would always say. And I know that because we saw him in that situation for 10 years. We just don't know with this group, and I liked what I heard.
Yeah, as did I. And remember, Willie Green has a little bit of championship pedigree to him as an assistant. He was around championship teams in Golden State. He was around championship teams in Phoenix. He kind of knows the process of going through a full season. And the Pelicans are on a certain stage right now, but they're playing really well. As you mentioned, they're going to get Ingram back. They're going to get Herb Jones back. And the sky is the limit for this team. That's how it looks right now.
They look good enough to me, for sure. And, you get Mario and T-Bob every single morning talking some Pels. Matt's been on them for a couple of years now as well. We're going to do our part here in the afternoon. Again, maybe not daily, but I think this is absolutely relevant and worth talking about for sure. So we will continue to do that. I will set the stage coming up for SEC Bowl games. We've talked so much about transfer portal, about opt-outs, all that kind of stuff. Where are the SEC teams headed in their bowl games, and what are the interesting storylines? That's next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer.
Bayou Ford. Check out that inventory, BayouFord.com. It's the year end. Always a good time to check out that inventory as new inventory for the next year comes in. Maybe you can find the price that suits your eye. Bayou Ford's got their entire inventory right there at BayouFord.com. You can use that search tab and look for something specific, or just browse the entire inventory. It changes as inventory comes in and as it moves out. So if you see something you like, make it happen. But right there on the website, BayouFord.com, it says in bold letters, don't settle. Don't settle. Just because Bayou Ford or other dealerships in town don't have exactly the car that you want, they can customize it. Call Ben Gagne and his crew down there at Bayou Ford. Say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can we do it? They'll say, yep, we can do it. And he'll have it turned around in 60 to 90 days. And when that car comes in, they will drive it right to your front door. Whether it's the F-150, F-250, maybe an Explorer Expedition on the SUV side. Maybe you're in the market for Mustang or Bronco. They got it all at Bayou Ford. Check out the website, BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford, where they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
A third of youth who grow up in foster care are homeless 18 months after aging out of care. But you can rewrite that story. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop.
and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou.
Join me, Jimmy, out at Charles Handegrift. Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. We're at Spoken Hub Restaurant on Government Street in Mid-City. We recap the weekend pro and college football. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. You can download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com. Cam Jordan got in a little trouble financially over the weekend for quote-unquote faking an injury. Give you my thoughts on that in 15 minutes. But I want to talk about the SEC's bowl schedule and what's coming up over the next few weeks. You by now you understand my thoughts on the bowls are that it's largely dead. No one wants to play. Half the coaches are gone. Portals all over the place. What LSU showed up with last year is just a joke. And sadly, more of the bowls look closer to that than they do what they used to look like. So everything you talk about here is taken with a grain of salt, and some of these are more interesting than others. We'll talk about the first SEC bowl game here. That'll be Florida against Oregon State. That'll be in the Las Vegas Bowl on December the 17th. John Smith, Oregon State's new head coach, just got a big old extension there. Florida's got some serious quarterback issues in this game. Anthony Richardson will not be there. He is declared for the draft. He's not going to play. Jalen Kitna got arrested. He's not going to play. So Ohio State transfer Jack Miller is going to start his first college game in this bowl game. And Oregon State had the second best run defense in the Pac-12 this year. You figure that'll be a heavy load of ATN. But how well will that work? There's a reason Oregon State's a 10-point favorite in this game. Florida's a shell of itself in this game. So, again, not all that interesting to me other than that it's in Vegas. On the 23rd of December, Wake will play against Missouri in the Gasparilla Bowl. This one, I think, is interesting. As interesting in Wake and Mizzou can be. Sam Hartman's going to play for Wake Forest. I think that's great. Brady Cook, Missouri quarterback, has been much better over the last few weeks. He's run for over 100 yards in 2 of the last 3 games. And a win for Missouri would mean they won 5 of 7 to finish the year. I think there's a little bit of momentum that could come with that. However, you're going to have to beat a good Wake team that is favored by a point in the said Gasparilla Bowl. What a name. Y'all make fun of the Poland Wheaty Independence Bowl. How about the Gasparilla Bowl? December the 28th, it'll be Kansas and Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl from Memphis. I believe KJ Jefferson's going to play. He's coming back to Arkansas next year. Have every reason to think that he would go out there and play in this game. However, they will not have Barry Odom. Their defensive coordinator has moved on. He took the UNLV job, so they'll have to figure something out on the defensive side of the football. We know Kansas has had a little bit of a revelation this year. They've played pretty good football really all year long. Arkansas has not. Now, the Hogs are 3-point favorites in the Liberty Bowl, and I bet they'll have a really big crowd, being that Memphis is right there on the Arkansas border, and they've got a huge alumni base there. Probably sounds better as a basketball game, quite frankly, these days, Kansas and Arkansas. But in the Liberty Bowl, I think it's maybe worth a watch. Texas Tech and Ole Miss on the 28th. Red Raiders won their last 3 games against Kansas, at Iowa State, and then against Oklahoma. The Rebels have lost 4 of their last 5, so not playing quite as well as the Red Raiders. But maybe I could make the argument that Kiffin and all the disaster that got whipped up into his season end, was he leaving, was he staying, what was he doing? Maybe that was a little bit of a distraction with him locked into a long-term contract. Maybe they can move forward and play a little bit better football than what they did down the stretch, which was quite frankly bad. Vegas thinks they will. They're a 3.5-point favorite. Texas Tech's not great. If Ole Miss were to lose this game, that would be a pretty crippling fall from grace. You talk about losing 5 of your last 6 after being in the top 10 and coming into Baton Rouge undefeated. Every season's different. I think that there's a little bit of an exaggeration and overstating of how much a bowl win means, especially this day and age. But Ole Miss minus 3.5 against Texas Tech. This one's interesting to me for a number of reasons. On the 30th of December, you'll have the Gator Bowl between Notre Dame and South Carolina. Notre Dame is out of quarterbacks, basically. Drew Pines in the transfer portal. He's out of here. Taylor Buckner had season-ending surgery back in September. So I don't know who their quarterback's going to be, quite frankly. They had won 7 of their last 8 before USC beat them, and now their quarterback's gone. South Carolina, we know who their quarterback is. And we know that they beat Tennessee and Clemson down the stretch. Now, you talk about a program that needed a kick in the pants and needed a shot of life. South Carolina's it. And as Clemson looks to kind of dip a little bit, I realize, it's not like they imploded, but they don't look like the Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence teams. Maybe it's time for South Carolina to take a little jump. We'll talk about Clemson here in a second, but this is a team that I think would benefit from another win on national TV and another Shane Beamer press conference, and it just because they were just so dormant for the Muschamp years. Old Coach Boom didn't exactly light it up in Columbia, and Dabo was winning national championships by the bushel at that point. So they do need a shot of life. Notre Dame with no quarterback seems like a pretty good shot in the Gator Bowl to get that done. Move on to the Orange. That is also on December the 30th. You think it's a good thing that DJ Uiagalelei decided to go into the transfer portal. I would argue it's bad if you're Tennessee, because I think Cade Klubnik's better. Big-time recruit. You can see the talent. I think it's going to give the team a shot of life. I like Caleb Klubnik in a matchup with Joe Milton. Now, this would have been DJU and Hendon Hooker as of a month ago. Now it's Cade Klubnik versus Joe Milton. I like Cade Klubnik in that game. I think that Clemson is going to beat Tennessee, but we'll see. I think Josh Heupel's a heck of a coach, and it'd be a big deal for Tennessee to win the Orange Bowl. At this point, can you really say winning the Orange Bowl is a huge deal for Clemson? Dabo would have you believe it. I think their fan base is a little cranky. They keep losing 2 games. They're ready to get back in the playoff, which looks like a birthright there for 5 years, and now is not. So we'll see. I think Tennessee has more to play for in that game. I like Clemson's quarterback better. Any chance Kansas State can beat Bama? Like, any chance are we giving them? Bama in this spot in the Sugar Bowl has been bad in the Saban era. Utah got after him. Oklahoma got after him. The Trevor Knight game. Bama has not been good in this spot in the Saban era. Adrian Martinez for K-State, That's the kind of threat that I think would give Nick Saban some fits. Will Howard, I just don't feel as good about there for K-State. I love Deuce Vaughn. I got yelled at up and down by Kansas State fans last year because I had never heard of Deuce Vaughn. I don't watch a lot of Kansas State football. And LSU got paired with Kansas State in the Texas Bowl. I went on to Kansas State's. Somebody tweeted at me. I said I've never heard of anybody that plays for Kansas State. And it went back to Kansas State people, and they went nuts. Well, Deuce Vaughn's really good. I looked at some highlights last year. He had a couple touchdowns last year against a depleted team. He's good. I just don't know if they've got the talent level 1 to 85 or whatever they have scholarship-wise to play with Alabama. But I don't know if Utah did, and Oklahoma for that team certainly didn't, and they got it done. So we'll see if Saban can wake that team up to go play in a non-playoff game. They didn't really sign up to be there for that. So that's Bama and Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. This is going to be the pro version of Army-Navy. Iowa, Kentucky in the Music City is brutal. You've got a Kentucky team that was the worst offense in the SEC with the first-round quarterback. Now he's not playing. And Iowa couldn't score on Dunham. So the over-under on this game is 31.5. This is Army-Navy. It's also the Stoops Bowl. All the Stoops boys went to Iowa. Now Kentucky playing Iowa in the Music City Bowl. This is going to be a brutal matchup. Bet the under. These teams can't score. And then you've got Ohio State and Georgia in the playoff. We'll talk a ton about that one over the month's time for sure. And then you've got the last one here, which is on January the 2nd with Mississippi State and Illinois. If you missed back in the first hour, I talked about Mike Leach a little bit and played some great sound from Mike Leach over the years. None of the reports out of Jackson are too inspiring. So you just kind of play that one by ear. But it's there's a lot more important things than the Mississippi State-Illinois game. That's for sure. So that's kind of where you are on that one, which is scheduled to be played on January the 2nd. So that's my look across the SEC bowl slate as those games kind of creep up on us here. I think the first one's, the 17th with Florida? Yeah, the first one's the 17th. So we will talk about that a little bit later in the week, kind of give a better look at that one. Then you start up next week with Wake and Missouri. Then you get past Christmas on the 28th with Kansas and Arkansas, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, and the like. And so when those games come closer, we'll take a deeper dive on it. But for me personally, I didn't take a long look at where everybody went in the SEC and in bowl games. Usually that's something you spend a lot of time thinking about or looking at when the bowls are announced on that Sunday. This time around, and the way that the bowl season goes, I feel like people aren't as quick to pay attention because whose quarterback's playing? Is the coach going to be there? Where's the offensive coordinator? How many of the offensive linemen transferred out? It's just not what it used to be. But I think some of these games are fairly interesting, so I wanted to give a look at that. When we come back, Cam Jordan fined for faking an injury. I'll give you my thoughts on it on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I want to remind you that one of the things I love about betting on the NFL is that I'm always finding new players or game props that I like. And what's cool about FanDuel, you can combine those props with other bets from the same game, score an even bigger payout. It's perfect for tonight's Monday Night Football game. Bet DeAndre Hopkins to score a touchdown, Kyler Murray rushing yards, even Kyler Murray passing yards as well. App's so easy to use. You can live bet during the games. And the best part, when you win, you get paid fast. No feeling quite like nailing a same-game parlay bet, so lock in on your bet today on the FanDuel Sportsbook. New to the FanDuel Sportsbook? Sign up today with the promo code 1045ESPN for your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That is promo code 1045ESPN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues not withdrawable free bet. Expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Terms of sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're somebody who has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite.
Up on Tuesday's OTB, preview Pels Jazz because the number one team in the West. Keep it going. Plus, start to look forward to Citrus Bowl as well as Saints Falcons Part 2. Brand new OTB mailbag and Nick Underhill stops by off the bench 7 to 10 a.m. 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So the NFL on Saturday decided that they were unhappy with the New Orleans Saints again. A little bit less of a penalty this time around. Of course, I'm not the one having to cut the checks. The NFL fined the Saints $350,000. They fined Dennis Allen $100,000. They fined Ryan Nielsen, the defensive line coach, $50K, and Cam Jordan $50K for violating the league's log-standing rule on faking an injury during Week 13's loss to the Tampa Bay Bucs. All of the Saints parties involved are going to appeal this. Okay. I watched this 3 times. They talked about it on ESPN. And I want to preface things by saying this. There is no question that faking injuries is something that happens weekly in football and has for a long time. Stop the clock, get a sub on, slow momentum, quiet the crowd, whatever. This has gone on forever. And it's going to be very difficult to police. How do you know this person's not hurt? It's hard. Here are my thoughts on the Cam Jordan deal. I watched the play. He comes off the end, as usual, gets a handout on Brady, doesn't get the sack, goes down. He's coming off the field. I've watched Cam Jordan come off the field for a decade and looks a little ginger. Then you've got Nielsen, who's standing there and holds his hand out and says, stop. Basically, go down. This, to me, on the outside appears one way. It appears to me Cam Jordan was very uncomfortable. Hurt, injured, whatever you want to call it. He was experiencing a lot of discomfort. He was going to come off the field. Nielsen wanted to substitute for Cam Jordan and wanted time to do it. So, Cam goes to a knee. That's literally what he did. And the Saints have medical personnel come out and they can get a defensive player on the field. Is that cheating? No. Could Cam have gotten off the field without going down? Yeah. From what I observed, did it look to be reasonable? It did. To me. I don't care if the Saints win or lose. I'm just watching the game. This needs to be egregious for you to start dishing out $500,000 in fines. Egregious. I need a perfectly healthy body that has run through a play, gone back and set up, and then falls down and grabs his knee like he's been shot. If that happens, we can fine people $500,000. If I've got a defensive lineman ripping off the edge in the fourth quarter of a Week 13 game, and he's a little gimpy coming off the field and goes down, we're going to have to live with that. Again, I don't know. Maybe Cam Jordan was 100% fine and faked an injury. It didn't look like that to me. Didn't look like he tore his ACL. Didn't look like he broke his femur. Didn't look like he had a high ankle sprain. It didn't look to me like he flagrantly faked an injury to gain a competitive advantage in the game. That's just what I think. I just think if you're going to start dishing out fines for this, we need things that look a little bit better than that. That's just my 2 cents on what we saw. But again, the Saints are going to appeal everything. No suspensions are involved. All financial in terms of this Cam Jordan situation. Changing gears here, the AP put out its All-American team. Caleb Williams, one of the Southern Cal players, put on those teams. USC had 3 first-teamers. Georgia had 2. Notre Dame had 2 as well. The Big Ten actually led the way with 7 All-American players. Your quarterback was Caleb Williams. Running back, Bijan Robinson and Blake Corum. Of course, that's the Texas and Michigan. Osiris Torrance from Florida, first-team All-American. Billy Napier had a pretty good team over there at ULL. Kyron Lacey can play a little bit. Mekhi Garner can play. Trevor Etienne was going to go to ULL. Then their starting running back over in Gainesville was at ULL, Johnson. Then you look at, obviously, Osiris Torrance, first-team All-American. They had some dudes over there at ULL, no doubt about it. Jalen Hyatt, rewarded as a first-team All-American player. Deuce Vaughn, who I just mentioned in the last segment, first-team All-American for the All-Purpose. You look at the defense, Will Anderson was on the first team. Jalen Carter, who LSU fans got real acquainted with 2 weeks ago, first team. Look at the second team, well-deserved for Max Duggan, fourth-year player out of TCU at quarterback. Brock Bowers, second team. Notre Dame's Michael Mayer was first team at tight end. But nobody from LSU on that first or second team. Flip over to the third team. And Mekhi Wingo made the cut as a third-team All-American, which I thought was great. I thought Mekhi Wingo played awesome football really all year long and deserves some recognition. That's a guy who comes in the transfer portal, and the buzz phrase on him certainly was for me was, well, he was a freshman all-conference player at Missouri. And you wonder, okay, well, what can he build off that? I looked at his stats, and made a few plays against Vanderbilt, but not a guy that had 8 tackles, 3 for loss against Georgia or something for Missouri. But he was awesome. And one of the things they asked him to do, especially once Mason Smith went down in the first series of the year, was play a ton of snaps. And he and Jaquelin Roy were so durable, so present, and really so productive for the vast majority of the year. I hope that they got tired against A&M in Georgia, because teams did not run the football like that all year on LSU. And then they just simply could not stop Devon Achane or the Georgia running game in the second half. But when you look at things in totality for the entirety of the year, I think Mekhi Wingo certainly was worthy of some recognition. So for him to be a third-team All-American, I think is an awesome, awesome honor for him. And he comes back to Baton Rouge next year as kind of an anchor down there with Mason Smith. We'll see what Jaquelin Roy decides he wants to do. But certainly Wingo and Smith will be a big part of what LSU does next year. The third-team All-American will have a little hardware when he comes back. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust are in the spirit to rock your holidays with $15,000 in cash. It's our 15K holidays. Head over to 1045ESPN.com and register to win a $15,000 national cash prize or $1,500 in a local cash prize. The 15K holiday is powered by Citizens Bank and Trust and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. When we come back, we will close it out with some Take It or Leave It on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana each and every month here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. In December, Mimosa Handcrafted. Mimosa Handcrafted creates Louisiana local handcrafted jewelry designed to foster connection and generosity. Madeline Ellis is the owner. She was a landscape architect. Her husband, Dawson, said, hey, do what you love. And what Madeline loves is making jewelry. And what was a hobby took off as a business. And now Mimosa Handcrafted is a successful business that's doing awesome things in our state. Today, Mimosa donates 1% of every sale through its Goods for Good campaign, which allows customers to select from a list of charitable causes such as the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank or the Mental Health Association for Greater Baton Rouge, and do great things for great causes. So Mimosa Handcrafted, a champion of Louisiana. LWCC likes to elevate and celebrate champions, as I tell you each and every day. If you know a champion of Louisiana, go to lwcc.com/champions. That's lwcc.com/champions. Nominate someone. Nominate a nonprofit. Nominate some entity that's doing great work in our great state so that we can celebrate them here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Mimosa Handcrafted is December's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime, Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Tigers on the practice field for the first time, getting ready for Purdue, and the Saints are back at it as they turn the page to the Falcons. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Before we get to take it or leave it, I want to lay this out. It's just fascinating to me, and I love it for Mets fans, and I love it for Padres fans. But a sense of the power balance in Major League Baseball, which is obviously very different from the NBA or the NFL because there's no salary cap. They've got a competitive balance tax. So if you go over the luxury tax, you've got to pay a bunch of money. But the Mets don't care because Steve Cohen's got the most money in baseball. Here's what he's doing. The Mets payroll next year is going to be about $345 million. That is significantly above the luxury tax threshold. So, without getting into all those numbers, because the last deal they just signed, which was a pitcher from Japan, they were taxed 90% on every dollar. And all told, with the $76.2 million competitive bargain tax, that's not the payroll. They owe $72 million in overage penalties, which brings their total payroll to $421 million. You want me to put that in perspective? $421 million? The Cleveland Guardians' payroll last year was $29 million. That's last. But the Cubs, who were a big market team, last year, $98 million. That's a quarter of what the Mets are spending this year. $421 million. That is how you own a sports franchise. You spend money until you win. You don't run it like a business. You work for the fans. You want billions of dollars? Sell the team. Steve Cohen, bravo. I realize it's a fraction of your net worth, but just let it rip. That's the way all owners in Major League Baseball should operate. You want to pinch pennies and trade stars and get prospects and never win anything, you shouldn't own a team. If you're that worried about money, just sell the team. They'll give you $2 billion for it, and you can get on down the road. Shout out to the Mets. Shout out to the Padres. Shout out to all the Dodgers, all the teams who want to win. And not a shout out to the Cubs, whose ownership group sucks. Let's play Take It or Leave It.
All right, a little bit of Take It or Leave It. Auburn is hiring former Southeastern head coach Ron Roberts as its defensive coordinator. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Obviously, a lot of people know him from his time here in South Louisiana at Southeastern. He was just at Baylor. They've had some pretty good defenses under Dave Aranda. I trust Dave Aranda implicitly. I think that's a great influence to have. I think this is a very reasonable hire for Hugh Freeze. I think he'll do a good job, so I'll take that.
Navy has let go of head coach Ken Niumatalolo after 15 seasons with a 109-83 record that included 7 Commander-in-Chief's trophies. Navy parting ways with Coach Ken. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave this. I realize they haven't been as good lately. I realize that Army's beaten them a couple times after they had that long run. But who do you think you're going to hire to do a better job than him? This is not exactly your everyday football program you're taking over here at Navy. A little different demands. And he clearly gets it. This is a guy who's had such a great run. He's the guy who finally got you over the hump and beat Notre Dame, which was a huge deal that hadn't happened in decades. He had a guy that set the NCAA touchdowns record. I mean, this guy's been brilliant for you, and he's pretty young. Now, I'm not a proponent of letting Joe Paterno and Bobby Bowden just wither away on the sideline. Like, I don't like that. You've got to continue to win at a certain point. But this is not Penn State or Florida State. It's Navy. It's hard to do. And he's done it before. There's no reason to think. It's not like you're going to come in and revitalize the offense. What, are you going to come in here and start slinging it around at Navy? No, you're going to run the triple option with a bunch of midshipmen here. I think this is the wrong move.
Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy on Saturday, but the voting was the closest in 5 years. Williams is college football's most outstanding player. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I thought he had a great year. I thought he had a really, really, really good year. I thought Hendon Hooker was better. I thought Bryce Young was better. I thought Caleb Williams was great, but I've said this a million times. I realize I've got SEC bias as well. I'm not sure how this massive bump happened from beating Notre Dame. Isn't that the game that we felt like cinched it? Like Ross wrote a column on SI, said I just watched the Heisman winner. Caleb Williams was great, but I didn't think it was a cinch that he was the best player. So that's my thoughts.
Here's one you'll love. For the first time since Nick Saban became the head football coach at Alabama, the Tide basketball team is ranked ahead of the football team. Alabama now a basketball school. Take it or leave it.
I can't quite go there. Until the basketball program pulls one like Nick Saban pulled across sports with the baseball team, I can't quite say that it's a basketball school. For those who are not familiar, early in Nick Saban's time at Alabama, there was a quarterback recruit that he very badly wanted. And this quarterback recruit was looking to play baseball as well. He wanted to play baseball and football. And he eventually decided not to go to Alabama because their baseball program was very, very poor and their facilities were terrible. So he wanted to go play baseball somewhere else, and he did. He ended up going to Florida State. He was a pretty good relief pitcher for Florida State, and he won the Heisman. This was, of course, Jameis Winston from Hueytown, Alabama. And so Nick Saban went to Mal Moore and said, hey, I'm losing quarterback recruits because our baseball team stinks and our stadium's no good. Fix it. Thomas Sewell Stadium was fully renovated very quickly after that. So until the basketball program can do that, I'm going to go ahead and say they probably still care about football a little bit more. However, you can't deny what Nate Oates has done. They have lost a number of guys over the last couple of years. They continue to restock the shelves, and that's a huge win for them, knocking off Houston on the road over the weekend in a game where your leading scorer doesn't really do a ton. So the new AP poll came out today. As you mentioned, Alabama is ranked number 4. They're 8-1 on the season, and it includes some nice wins. You're talking about beating Houston. You're talking about beating North Carolina. You're talking about beating Michigan State. Like, it's been a really nice run for Nate Oates' team. They're really good, and it doesn't matter that they've lost their front court guys and Herb Jones moves on, and they just continue to field really good teams. So I hate it. I don't like Nate Oates at all. He took shots at my alma mater, and I don't like that. So you're not really going to do a whole lot to get yourself in good graces with me personally when you take shots at my alma mater and work for that team. But his coaching has been phenomenal. And like it or hate it with the analytics and the shot selection that they take and just the threes and the layups and the free throws and all that and whatever, you can't knock the results. They've been fantastic over there in Tuscaloosa. So that will do it here for Take It or Leave It on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of the show, you can always go catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. My name is right there at the top. You can catch it on demand. It's all right there. We're also on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, so if that's how you prefer to listen to things on demand, you can do that. And certainly each and every day we're up on YouTube where y'all are hanging out with us in the Bayou Ford chat. Those in the Bayou Ford chat, if you want to throw us a like on the way out, we certainly appreciate that. We always appreciate y'all hanging out with us. So if you missed any on demand, you can always catch it all of those places. We opened the show talking about LSU and Wake Forest. Big win for the Tigers on Saturday. I gave my takes on the NFL at 1:15, the weekend that was. Mike Leach some great sound over the years from the Mississippi State head coach at 1:30. Some takeaways from the Louisiana State Championships, including Trey Holly, LSU's running back commitment. That was at the end of hour number 1. Talk some Pels. That's what we're going to do moving forward here on the Hunt Palmer Show at 2 o'clock. 2:15, we set the stage for SEC's bowl games, and then we had some Cam Jordan talk, faking an injury there at 2:30. Catch it all on demand. Matt Moscona going to drive you home from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. Jimmy Ott's Game Time coming at you from 6 to 8 tonight. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much to Mario and to Taylor for their hard work. Y'all have a great Monday. It's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.